something we touched upon last night that I think is worthy of reiterating. Um, there's an interesting, we can call it a parable in Luke 16. I actually could be a true story. The Lord himself would have known, being omniscient, the Son of God. Uh, he certainly would have known the conditions that men and mankind has lived under and the things that they've done and the end result of those decisions. So we have the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. Now, it doesn't name the rich man, it does name Lazarus, and he was a servant. You'll remember that he was poor, a beggar. And he would literally sit on the doorstep. The dogs would come and lick his sores. They had more compassion than this rich man did. The rich man died, and Lazarus died. The rich man lifted up his eyes in torment, in hell. He was in torment, and there was a great gulf between the two, and there was paradise, Abraham's bosom. This was prior to the death of Christ, prior to him taking captivity captive. So here we have these two individuals. One's in torment, and you can read it for yourself. We don't have to go into a description of the aspects. It's not a physical body, it's a soul, but yet he is experiencing all the torture that would be attributed to a physical body, mainly that of incredible recognition of what he chose in life, that he put his faith in his wealth. And his request, which makes it really interesting, because oftentimes we think of miracles as, if I could just see something that, speaks to the supernatural, if I could just see the things. I was speaking with a very dear friend just a week or so ago, and we talked about some of the miracles that we saw in the early stages of the ministry that we were involved with. Literally people being physically healed from severe injuries, back conditions that were crippling. And in a moment of time, a person hears the word, just someone saying that, God has placed his hand on you and you're to be healed, and they walk. Things that just were unheard of. I witnessed an individual in a sermon during a message with friends right there that had a heart attack, passed away, and then we prayed. They came back to life. You can say, well, how do you know that they were dead? A nurse was sitting right there beside her, took her pulse. There was no pulse. Goes to the doctor confirms the fact that she's had a cardiac event, but we've all witnessed many things. But how does that speak? Does that really convince a person of God and who he is and what he does? There are many that believe that they do. But I think this verse in Luke 16 and verse 31 is a little more compelling. You remember that the rich man asked Abraham, look, could you just send him back to tell my brothers about this place so that they don't end up here with me? And you'll remember what Abraham answered. He said, they have the law and the prophets. If they'll not listen to the law and the prophets, they'll not listen even if one was raised from the dead. Now consider that for a moment. The greatest testimony or the greatest miracle that anyone will ever see is the life of Christ. First, the reality of his own resurrection, but then that life in you and me. That's the greatest miracle anyone will ever see. It speaks more than any other thing that could ever be done. God could literally do some great, miraculous, supernatural event, as he did for the children of Israel throughout the entirety of the 40 years that they spent in the wilderness. And yet, it would mean very little. It didn't change their disposition. In fact, as it says in Hebrews chapter 3, their bones were scattered all over the wilderness for that generation that just simply hardened their hearts and wouldn't believe. God has so graced us that we have the privilege of receiving his word by virtue of his Spirit. And his very life lives within us. And we live our life, as Paul said in Galatians 2:20, both in and of the faith of Christ. It's in him, it's of him. He's in us. And that is the greatest miracle that our family will ever see. It's the greatest miracle that we'll ever show to our co-workers or our neighborhood, our people in the neighborhood, or whatever circumstance we're placed in. It's the greatest miracle. Hey, let's be a miracle today. A true, living miracle that changes lives. The incarnate Word, first in Christ and now in us by virtue of his Spirit. Till next time, friends, God bless you.